So wait, so just go through each city and be like what I liked best?
Yeah, just like, you know, started in Paris, whatever.
Alright, so, Jesus, I can't even remember. We've done so much in so little time.
We are in Munich right now. It's about 9 a.m. here in Austria.
We're in Barcelona right now. So after climbing over 400 steps, we're on top of the Duomo in Florence, Italy.
Just arrived at Cinque Terre. We're gonna do the walk through the 5 towns.
We're here at the Plaza del Toros. We're gonna see a bullfight tonight.
We are in the Côte d'Azur in the south of France.
A rainy first day here in Amsterdam.
We're at Camden Market, North London.
Good morning. Last night we slept on this train right here as we made our way from Venice, Italy to Salzburg, Austria.
Boarding the plane to Europe.
This is it. For me, it's my first time in Europe, and I had a lot of expectations, a lot of cultural and food expectations, and experiencing new languages and cuisines and all sorts of things. And at this point in Paris, under the Eiffel Tower, on our last full day of the trip, I can say all my expectations were met.
Paris, great first day. I remember getting there in Montmartre and seeing the beautiful church on the hill, Sacré-Cœur, and then the long walk to the Arc de Triomphe.
On the Champs-Élysées, the Arc de Triomphe, to your right.
On the first night, we went up this fine tower right here to the very top, right at sunset, and we got a view of the Eiffel Tower during sunset, during dusk, and during the day, and it was an entire view of all of Paris, and it was just beautiful to see all the lights.
Woke up the next morning and took an early train to Amsterdam.
I really didn't know the canals and all the beauty of Amsterdam and what to expect. Everything I've heard was a lot of smoking and drinking and prostitutes, but it's actually a beautiful city.
Went to the Neuter Market, which was one of my favorite markets we've seen in Europe, with fresh cheese, meat, and fish all over the place, and everything could be sampled.
It's very interesting. And then we went to the Anne Frank house, which was incredible, I think. Very different experience from anything else we had done in the first few days.
The Anne Frank house, like many other firsts, was the first time I really felt moved on the trip, you know, deep and emotionally. After Amsterdam, we flew to Madrid, and I was very excited to be in Spain. I had done some research into going to a bullfight, and that's what we ended up doing our first night in Spain. First bull comes out, and the matador comes out on horseback, and he just starts stabbing it. The bull's bleeding. People are cheering. Definitely a shock to see an animal run out with you know, such vigor and then be carted off dead at the end. Moved on to Barcelona, which was a great city, full of culture.
Barcelona was very different from Madrid, especially where we stayed in the Gothic quarter of the city, much older. The buildings there had a much older feel to them. We went to La Sagrada Familia the second day, which I think was one of the top 5 highlights for most of us on this trip.
The architecture and the facades and the inside was probably top St. Peter's Basilica for me.
We spent 3 hours there, but most of us could have walked around and stared at some of the architecture in there for the entire day. From Barcelona, we went to Nice and Monte Carlo and Monaco.
Monte Carlo, easily one of my top spots just because of my gambling personality.
Monte Carlo was interesting. I think the quality of life there is almost too high to enjoy.
The next day in Nice, we did a nice hike along the southern coast of France.
We are on the Côte d'Azur in the south of France, on our way from the last train station before Monaco to Monaco. As you walk along the sea, it gets increasingly wealthier, but the views are absolutely spectacular.
We went to Florence from there.
It was just a beautiful, beautiful city. Old architecture, beautiful people, beautiful food, delicious food. It was just everything about Italy impressed me.
Cinque Terre was another one of my favorite things.
Just arrived at Cinque Terre. We're going to do the walk through the 5 towns. It should take roughly 5 hours. Probably be stopping along though to take a look at the views, as you can see from what's behind me.
Florence, we moved on to Rome, the history and architecture capital of our trip. Some of the highlights were the Trevi Fountain, the Spanish Steps, and for me, one of my bucket list type of things was going into the Colosseum.
Walking in this back alley in the oldest part of the city in Rome, Trastevere, we see this man. He kind of notices that we're wandering and calls out for us. The only question he asked us was red or white wine. And from there, I think we all indulged in one of the best meals, if not the best meals we've ever had.
We're here at Gianni's, one of the best restaurants in the world. Oh my God.
Peperoncino, cipolla, olio vino.
Gianni is quite a character. He didn't speak any English, but he knew exactly what to do for us, and he just served us this entire meal. We had no idea what to expect, but everything was excellent.
Okay.
From Rome, we went to Venice, which was very different.
Venice is an interesting city, that the best sight in Venice is just walking around the city itself. There's nothing else like it.
We went to Murano, the famous glass blowing area, and one of my favorite parts of definitely of Venice and maybe of the whole trip was taking a water taxi from Murano back to the main island. We were able to go down the narrow streets surrounded by, you know, brick houses with the laundry out to dry outside and bridges crossing over, and that was just incredible for me. I love being on that and just going right through the heart of Venice on a little water taxi.
Ciao. Then we went up to Austria on the overnight train.
Morning. It's about 9 a.m. here in Fuschel, Austria. 40-minute bus ride from where we're staying in Salzburg. We're looking for something to do outdoors, a little running, hiking, most importantly some swimming, and this is what we stumbled upon.
We spent the day doing outdoor stuff, a hike up to the summit called Florence. We got an excellent view of the Alps to the north, the plains to the south, and other lakes on either side of us. It's a gorgeous lake. I really didn't know much about Austria going into this trip, but after spending only one day there, I know I want to go back.
The next day we went to Munich, which again just was totally different from anything else. The beer gardens were really a highlight of the trip. A giant, imagine this huge restaurant that seats thousands of people. Huge liter beer mugs. People are happy and singing, and little kids are even drinking. It's really just a totally different culture of alcohol and enjoying life.
It's just kind of hard to look at everything and know this is where Nazism was formed. Hitler planned everything in this city. And today we did a tour of Dachau, which was very emotional.
Was here at the edge of the town, and it was well connected to the town, as you'd imagine.
Someone who has been educated in the Holocaust a lot, this was very eye-opening to see how it is perceived by Europeans and Germans.
Being at a place like that is, again, depressing, sad, but something that everyone should do so that it's never forgotten and it never happens again. So then, switched gears again, went to London. Saw the big sights, Big Ben.
So the building it's attached to is actually a government building, the Houses of Parliament.
Buckingham Palace, the red telephone booths, and all the big touristy sites.
So we're at Camden Market in North London, known for its punk scene and clothing, but what it should be known for is the incredible food stands.
Wimbledon was really cool.
We ended up spending 13 hours there in total, which was probably my favorite experience of the trip.
Awesome experience. I love this more than anything.
Paris at the end, yesterday, was one of our last days. I was fortunate enough to meet up with my cousins who were in Paris, visiting the grandparents on the other side, and that was just a total cultural immersion, something I loved. One of my favorite parts of the trip. Kind of gave me like a boost of energy to be with family again and get everything together. So that's the trip. If you had like one thing you would tell your grandkids about this trip, what would it be?
I would say do it while you can. Take the time that you have when you're young to travel and experience new things. When you're older, you can come back and do it in style, but I think to have the experience of train travel, of sleeping in hostels with 8 people in a room, single bed, bunk beds, everything, eating out of grocery stores, not really knowing exactly where to go, how to walk, what's the best way to do things. Experience all of that.
To do a month and see 12 different cities and 6 or 7 different countries in that month and travel around is a very rare opportunity, and I hope to continue traveling for the rest of my life. I want to travel forever. I want to see as much of the world as I can. I think that's really what life is about, is knowing the world and experiencing it.